one of the victims ran off the platform. He had been slashed in the neck.
Awful news out here. Again, 2 people have died. A third was injured.
How chaotic was the scene on the train?
I was scared.
Say what?
I was so scared.
It happened on a warm Friday.
It's horrific. And there's no other word to describe what happened today.
It was peak rush hour at the start of Memorial Day weekend.
Inside the mix.
It was inside
the mix.
Suddenly, around 5, news agencies started getting calls and alerts. There had been a stabbing.
I hear a lady say, "Oh my God, they're fighting."
And police were swarming a busy Max stop.
We're in the early stages of a homicide investigation here at the Hollywood Transit Station.
Helicopters went up and reporters fanned out.
We can tell you a suspect is in police custody. We're awaiting
At that point, none of us had any clue how big and how horrible this story would become.
We lost 2 great humans. People that were willing to put themselves in harm's way just on their daily commute.
The 2 great humans were Ricky Best and Talisha Namkai Meche. Both died that day. Micah Fletcher was the 3rd person stabbed. He survived, and he said this days later.
2 very good people lost their lives that day. And I am very injured both physically and mentally. I do not feel well. And I mourn the loss of those 2 very brave individuals.
Police said all 3 were attacked standing up for 2 teenage girls who were also on the Max. One of them was wearing a hijab. They said the attacker had boarded the Max, yelling, and at one point he turned his attention to the girls, prompting those 3 strangers to step in. So now, almost 3 years later, we're digging back into our archives at KGW because the man charged with carrying out that fatal attack is about to go on trial. His name is Jeremy Christian, and I remember the morning after the stabbings when police emailed out his mugshot for the first time. I got chills because I recognized him.
I'm a revolutionary. We brought all the Semitic monotheist child molesters over here. I'm a Viking. We brought them over here. Come on, we got prior land claims. The Constitution, that ain't us Danish.
A few weeks before the Max attack, Jeremy Christian showed up at a protest in Southeast Portland.
I don't care if you say you're a patriot and you say...
We were just there covering that protest. It was supposed to be a march along 82nd Avenue, and he, like a lot of people, showed up early, and he just started yelling. And I was nearby, and I stuck my mic out to be able to hear him better, and then he turned toward me.
Anybody got any questions? I'm free to talk. I'm going to say anything. I am here to provoke anyone because we live in a domestic situation where the only political affiliation that makes any sense is nihilism. This is my soapbox. Portland, Oregon, the Northwest.
Protesters from every side told Christian to leave, and police escorted him out. A photo taken by local photographer Doug Brown appeared to show him giving a Nazi salute on his way. We had no reason to believe we would ever see him again.
There's a couple guys on the floor bleeding. And
weeks later, the attack happened. Police arrested Christian blocks from that platform. They said he'd run off when the train stopped. He's 37 years old now, and the list of charges against him is long. On it, 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 of attempted murder. After the stabbings, a woman named Demetria Hester came forward, adding another layer to all of this. She said the night before the Max attack, Jeremy Christian boarded another Max train, and he delivered, she said, a hate-filled rant against African Americans, Christians, and Jews. And she also said he then hit her in the face with a full Gatorade bottle before she maced him and ran.
He actually did what I told the police that he was going to do if they did not catch him.
Free speech or die, Portland. You got no safe place. This is America. Get out if you don't like free speech.
Since his arrest, Jeremy Christian's been in court several times. His lawyers fought successfully to take the death penalty off the table. They also fought to have this trial moved out of Multnomah County, arguing local coverage of the case would thwart any possibility of Christian getting a fair trial. They lost that battle, and the trial will stay in Portland. In February of 2019, Christian pleaded not guilty by way of mental disease or defect, and his lawyers basically argue that he suffers from mental illness and he lacked the capacity to know what he was doing. If convicted, Jeremy Christian could face anywhere from 30 years to life in prison.
Every time I have to walk past this area, and it always comes to mind. I always think about it.
In the years since, Portland has pushed on, as much as a city who's been through something like this can. We watched as Micah Fletcher, the lone survivor, cried in the arms of Talisha Nomkai Meche's mom.
I just wanted him to know that he's loved and he needed arms to break down in and cry in that understand love.
At the funeral for Ricky Best, a 21-gun salute for the 23-year veteran of the United States Army.
Ricky's a hero, and he's in this world. There aren't a lot of heroes, not a lot of people that you can really have your children look up to. And what Ricky did will forevermore imprint on my life and my children's life.
And at the Hollywood Transit Center, a memorial wall now stands. It comforts people who were here when the attack happened. For those who weren't, it offers clues about a day that ended and changed lives and left so many in Portland feeling less safe.
Maggie Vespa joining us now. So this story isn't just about what happened, but when it happened. At that time, the country and Portland specifically in a very tense place.
Exactly. I mean, May 2017, right? So do the math. That's about half a year after the 2016 election. President Trump had just been elected. And here in Portland, we had several protests following Election Day. And they were volatile protests. At times, they were violent protests. So when Jeremy Christian showed up to that protest in Southeast Portland, that random one, it was just another one. Him yelling and him getting angry, that actually wasn't that unusual. We filmed it. We didn't actually, I don't think, use any of his video that day. We just happened to hang on to it. And then weeks later, this attack happened, and it was just horrendous, and it was so shocking. It felt like we had reached this boiling point, or everybody was afraid that we had reached a boiling point at that time.
So what can we expect today moving forward, and what can people see exclusively right here on the story at 6 o'clock?
Sure. So jury selection starts tomorrow. We'll be in the courtroom. We will not have a camera in the courtroom because the judge basically wants to put jurors at ease as much as possible. They'll be answering sensitive questions. Once the trial starts, which right now is probably going to be the following Tuesday, a week from tomorrow, that's flexible depending on how long jury selection takes. We will have a camera in the courtroom. We will have a mic on the witness stand, and a team of journalists, including myself, will be providing in-depth updates online, on social media, on TV throughout the day, throughout the trial. We'll have also a team of legal experts. We brought 3 seasoned Portland attorneys on board to help us here at KGW make sure that we're putting this really in the proper context and just covering this trial as accurately as possible.
And
it's very complex.
Yeah, and for everybody at home, reach out to Maggie, reach out to us here at The Story. If you have questions about the coverage or what you are wondering about when it comes to this trial, we will do our best to answer those questions. Maggie, thank you.
You're welcome.